One Punch Man Season 2, Episode 10. So this is probably the most enjoyment that I've had this season since Episode 3, and I'm sure that is largely part to the greatness of Garo, but I really do think that the direction has improved a lot in this episode, especially compared to the other episodes in this season. But we can't forget about the just not good gradient choices, especially on Darkshine, and they've been applying this to other things in the season so far, and it's just not good. I don't know how this keeps getting approved for, like, final product. I mean, this looks like something out of, like, a PS2 cutscene. I don't know why they keep doing it, and I wish they would stop, but other than that, let's get into it. So the episode opens up with one of the most iconic scenes from the manga, one of my favorite, and it's King defeating Saitama in the fighting game. And aside from this just being hilarious, it might be a deeper look into the narrative here, seeing that, you know, Saitama can be defeated, and likely King is the only one who can do it. Just further showing, like, the dichotomy and the awesome dynamic between these two. And it's like, yeah, Saitama is unbeatable in a real fight, but in other simulated fights, such as what we saw, he is very beatable, especially at the hands of King. So then it cuts to the Hero Association. This is where the previous episode left off, when we see that random worker guy infected by the parasite, and this whole sequence is just an adjudication gone wrong. More or less, this is just Garo trying to establish what they are all about, getting under the skin of the Hero Association as well. And we also see just straight up one of the executives get shot in the friggin' head, and that is insane. And then Garo says something very interesting that might be giving us insight into this character, because Garo says, wow, what a treat it is to trick grown adults. And that's strange. Like, why would Garo put emphasis on them being grown adults? So does this mean Garo is young, or it remains to be seen, but definitely something that should be looked into. So then we get the real motivation for Garo and the Monster Association here, which we got a couple episodes back, but we're getting more into the plan, and it's that Garo does want world domination with the monsters and whatnot, but the overall plan to make that happen is to lure the Hero Association's best heroes into the Monster Association and take them out that way. So that's why they got Waganma as the hostage, so that they have motivation and an incentive to actually go about things, because they know that they need to get Waganma back because he is the son of Narinki, and Narinki is one of, like, the most important investors in the Hero Association, and, you know, the bottom line is always about money and power and whatnot. So then Darkshine shows up, and we're seeing that he is the protector of the Hero Association headquarters. And I think that's more indicative of how powerful he is if they chose him to be the protector. You know, you don't see, like, Tank Top Master or Prairie Prisoner guarding the place, because likely they wouldn't be able to take down big threats like dragons and whatnot. So I think they're going to take Darkshine, who is insinuated at this point to be one of the strongest S-Class heroes. And this is the first time that we're actually seeing him in combat. We did see him on the battlefield at the end of Season 1, but he didn't really get his hands dirty. And he's not even really doing anything here. He's just more or less showing what he is all about, and that is insane durability, because not even the parasite monster, whose name is like Destro Trichloridium or something like that, his little drill things couldn't even pierce, not even come close to piercing Darkshine's skin, which looked like it wasn't even like skin, which is what the parasite monster says. It's like, what is this? This can't be human tissue. And Darkshine just shakes this off. He's like, everyone knows that steel can't break hardened skin or hardened muscles, whatever he says. Darkshine seems to be kind of oblivious to his own abilities, kind of like how Saitama is. So yeah, this is what Darkshine is about. This is what he brings to the S-Class heroes. He's just a crazy tank with, like, unrivaled physical strength. But also, Darkshine is establishing that he is going to be joining this fight. So the assembly of heroes that are going to go into the Monster Association, this is establishing that Darkshine is going to be one of them. So get hyped for that. We are going to see Darkshine in a battle, but it remains to be seen if we're going to see that in this season. Probably not. But then we go on to the Monster Association, and we're further seeing what Garo has to say about this whole plan. So they want to get all of the heroes, or all of the powerful heroes, into the Monster Association and take care of them that way, so that it just makes things easier for them, and they're not going to be spread out, and if they could just take care of them all at once, and then they can further go about their duties and whatnot after that. This kind of reminds me of the Spartans' plan in the movie 300, if you've seen it. Very iconic movie. But the 300 Spartans, they were able to be so successful against Xerxes' army because they were leading them down into that ravine, which essentially made their numbers useless since they couldn't like spread around them or hoard them and whatnot. They were all being funneled into one place and just being chopped off, effortlessly by the Spartans. And that's kind of what Garo is trying to do here. Aside from just having a full-out war with them on the surface, where the heroes would probably have the advantage, if they lead them all into their own base, then they're likely going to have a very tough time winning. So aside from that, we're getting some interesting developments here with the Monster Association, because we're seeing Orochi actually do something. And before this, we didn't really see Orochi do anything, but we're seeing that, yeah, he has those horns on his head and they can stretch out super fast, and he can just straight up eat like powerful demon monsters in Awakened Cockroach. This is the same guy that fought Genos a couple episodes back and established that he was pretty powerful, but he's nothing to Orochi. He just ate him whole, and this is like beyond low difficultying someone. And this is more or less like a display of power for Orochi, like striking fear to the other monsters. It's like, look, if you keep messing up, I'm going to eat you. But this is also started because Garo was like, hey, you guys don't want to serve under Orochi, why aren't you cheering? And then we see one monster in the distance when he's like, well, I never signed up to save Orochi, I'm just here to take down the heroes. And this monster is pretty damn significant in the story. We're likely not going to get any more development on him in this season, but his name, as we saw in this episode, was Black Sperm. I refer to him as Black Ass on this channel to avoid demonetization. But yeah, we're just seeing that he is one of the monsters who doesn't seem to fear Orochi, and that seems pretty damn significant, as all of the other monsters more or less feared him. So then Garo discovers that Koketsu was killed, and we saw this in the previous episode when Saitama one-punched him, and I think this is just showing that like Garo is seeing that this isn't going to be as easy as they originally thought it was going to be, because Koketsu is one of the most powerful members of the Monster Association, and if he was just killed like that, it's just showing like, okay, yeah, crap is getting real now. So then it cuts to Genos, and we're seeing that he is getting an upgrade once again, as we assumed that he was going to in the previous episode, in the previous couple episodes when he was like one-shotted by Koketsu. It totally wrecked him, and we saw him carried away by Dr. Kuseno's robot. So now we're seeing him in his new upgraded form. And yes, guys, he is probably super powerful in this form, because that's just what keeps happening with Genos every time he gets upgraded. So then it cuts to the hospital, and we see Metal Bat and the other Super Fight Tournament competitors in there. So if anyone's curious, like, what's Metal Bat going to be doing in the rest of this arc, he's probably just going to be in the hospital recovering, because he went through an insane gauntlet fighting demons, Elder Centipede, and Garo. So I think Metal Bat has earned his break for the rest of this arc. So then it cuts to Child Emperor talking to Metal Knight, and we're getting more development on Metal Knight here. We're seeing that he's going about things in a pragmatic way. He doesn't want to go and do what the Monster Association wants them to do. He doesn't want to go down there and, fall for their trap. He just wants to locate where they are and just carpet bomb them, more or less. And yes, it is going to sacrifice the life of Oganma, which is awful because he is a child and everything, but he sees that it is the best thing to do. So I guess you could say that Metal Knight is kind of like chaotic good, he does want to help, but he's also just so pragmatic and staunch in his own ways that he's willing to give up the life of a child for the greater good. He also says that he's not going to be participating, of course, so this means that Metal Knight is going to be sitting out of this arc and this battle as well. So then we also see the monsters banding together, and it's just a little throwaway scene here because it's comedic, because Saitama is taking care of them immediately after we see them, but I think it's setting up the larger overall storyline here, is that Garo's speech and the news breaking out to the public isn't just to strike fear into humanity, but it's also supposed to inspire the monsters, all of the lingering monsters out there, to come together and help the Monster Association take down the Hero Association, and eventually develop the quote-unquote paradise that they want, more or less. So then it cuts back to Garo, and we see that he's been resting up after the beatdown that he took from King. He's in his little shack, which we're also finding out is Tario and his friend's little secret base. But we're also seeing that like Garo has repaired more or less, but he says that he's going to need 3 days to recover. But obviously he is not getting that, because Death Gatling has brought together his crew and whatnot, and we don't see the inner workings of this and how this came together. We do find out in the manga that Death Gatling has brought these heroes together because they show great potential and have had other various things to prove that their ranking isn't really indicative of how capable they are. And they've also, planned ahead of time, like, okay, we're going to do this, you're going to do that, and this is how we're going to take down Garo. But also we see that Garo with his interaction with Tario is just awesome, and this is just further like building up Garo and showing that yes, he is more or less the villain or one of the villains of this season, but you can't help but love this guy because of the the way that the dynamic that he has with Tario and just kids in general. And yes, Garo is a bad guy, but this doesn't make him a bad guy, like that meme from Wreck-It Ralph with Zangief. But aside from awesome character development, this is also a device for Garo to get the Hero Almanac from Tario so that he has knowledge on these heroes, so he's not going into this fight blind. He is somewhat understanding of how to take care of these guys, so he's not just completely blindsided here. So let's go over Death Gatling's team real quick. So it's consisted of various A-class and B-class heroes. We've got Death Gatling, of course. We've got Stinger, who we saw in Season 1. Smile Man, I'm pretty sure we saw him in Season 1 as well. We've got Wildhorn. We've got this newcomer, Glasses, who I could go on and on about. Chain and Toad, Gun, and Shooter. So the characters Smile Man, Wildhorn, and Glasses, these characters are all like developed in the side chapters of the manga. So I can't stress it enough. Please read the manga, especially the side chapters that go into Glasses. Like, this guy has an insane character arc coming into this episode that no one outside of the hardcore fans, the people who follow the manga closely, are really aware of. Because we do see, like, this episode does focus on Glasses. Like, he oddly gets more screen time than the other heroes and gets even more dialogue and whatnot. And you might be thinking, like, why is this? He seems like a pretty cool character. Well, there's a lot going into the development of Glasses here, but we're never really going to see it in the animations. So then we get this awesome fight scene, and I really did enjoy this. It's just really well done. One of the better sequences and just fights in general from this season. And it just ends on Garo being cornered, so it's like, how's he going to get out of this? And when the episode ended, I was like, oh man, I wanted to see more of it, but, obviously this will conclude in the next episode. But after the credits, we see Genos, Still of Genos, preview of the next episode. So this probably means that Genos is going to show up to help these guys take down Garo. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. I hope you were able to enjoy this episode, and let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Please also check out my merch store. I got some sweet battle anime stuff in there powered by beautiful Halo. It's not stupid. It won't make you look like a weeb. It is legit stuff. Link is in the description, and if you liked the video, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon, gives you access to a weekly Q&A video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.